Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Must Love Yarn podcast. It is Tuesday, which is becoming our new podcast day, I think, for at least the foreseeable future.
Mhm.
And this is a podcast about knitting and crocheting and sometimes spinning and needlework and other things fiber related, and just whatever else Kelly and I decide we want to talk about, which if you're a longtime viewer could be almost anything.
Mhm. Yep.
Yep.
Often reverts to the weather.
Many times the weather or animal shenanigans, or
Mhm.
kid shenanigans.
Mhm.
Um, and Must Love Yarn is actually a actual yarn store in Shelburne, Vermont.
It is actually
Or
actual.
actual yarn store, as my husband says, that's a real business. And I'm like, yes, it is actually.
As
Okay.
opposed to an imaginary one.
As opposed to, I think, a way that he perhaps believed maybe his wife was going to get cheap yarn. I don't know. Not entirely
I
sure.
mean, that works too, but
We have already derailed this podcast and this conversation, or I
yeah.
have. Good job, me. And we also have an online store. So if you're not in Vermont or not visiting Vermont, you can check out the things that we offer, or majority of the things that we offer, on
Or
our
if you're
website.
quarantining in Vermont, we have curbside pickup, or we can just ship it to you.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Whatever works. We are currently open to the public. So if you're around, feel free to come in, check out what we got, and shop with us if you are so inclined. And the store is out on all social media as Must Love Yarn. So feel free to join our Ravelry group, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. I suppose you could follow us on Twitter, though most of it's just a repeat of what you've seen on Instagram and Facebook. So come check out what we've got going on. And I'm Angela.
And I'm Kelly.
And you can find me out on social media, Instagram and Ravelry as Junior Bird Kid.
And you can find me on Instagram as Kelly O Spins and on Ravelry as Kelly Spins.
Yep. And with just, the caveat always with mine is that those are my personal pages. And so while you will see a lot of knitting content, you will also see other things as well. For strictly knitting content, the store Instagram feed is probably the place to go. So, yep. And so do we have, you can tell Kelly and I have planned this, planned well here. Do we have a pick of the week this week? No. Maybe.
How about sure?
Okay. This is, for anybody that's new, this is totally normal.
So we got some new yarn in from
I'm just going to leave my glasses on.
some people we've worked with before on different projects, but we haven't carried their yarn before. We've carried some of their other accessories. Well, actually, we got some of their other accessories for things. I think that was for our
Seasons
retreat.
of Vermont.
Was
box?
it Seasons of Vermont? Okay, Seasons of Vermont box. Yep, wasn't for the retreat. Anyway, so we are carrying some of their yarn now, and it's a company called Seventh Floor Yarn, and it's a mother-daughter duo out of New York. And we brought in two of their yarns. One is a yak blend, and it's really super soft and lovely, and as a lot of yak yarns.
We'll put a picture in.
Yeah.
I'm trying to point the right way.
As a lot of yak yarns do, they have really interesting, they take color very interesting because the yak stays a dark tone, and the other yarns, there's merino and silk, I think. Merino and silk are the other two fibers that are in it. So all of those dye up a little bit differently or take dye differently. So it creates a lot of depth to the yarn. So we have that. So it's Seventh Floor Yarn. yak DK. It's a DK weight. So we'll put I will do some show notes because there's a lot of things we're probably going to want to link to that everybody's going to want information to. So I'll start working on some show notes this afternoon. So the yak DK is one. And we also brought in their bulky. They do some really great semi-solid colors. They do some speckles and multicolors too, but their semi-solids are just really lovely. So it's a merino and nylon blend, bulky yarn. And we'll put all the information in show notes about that. We'll link to them. But they will be the pick of the week for the next 2 weeks. And it's 10% off any in-stock yarns that we have that are the pick of the week. And yeah.
Excellent. And if you need a tutorial on where the coupon code goes in Shopify, we did that in episode 73, though. It seems like more and more vendors in the industry are using Shopify. So I think, people are getting more used to the weird little quirk with Shopify, which is one, you can't use Apple Pay if you're using a coupon code. And the second one is if you're using PayPal, it actually takes you to PayPal. And then when you come back for the final checkout screen, you can put in the coupon code. It's sort of backwards of what you would think, but that's just the way their system's set up. So coupon code.
Let's do weekly pick yak just to make it simple.
Perfect. And we will, I will have put in pictures of the colors that we have in here so you can see what we've got.
Cool. I will send those to you.
Perfect.
After, and then we'll have everything all lined up.
Ready to go, because we'll do the normal like drop time where I'll have it all edited and start the upload on Friday night or Thursday night. So we got a little bit of time.
Yeah, and I'll work on show notes as soon as we get done because I've got a little bit of time in between now and my afternoon appointment. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I have, I am wearing some hand knits today.
Yay.
Yay. I am wearing my Descent sweater by Andrea Rangel. And this is the worsted weight version of the sweater. I just turned it into a pullover because I wanted a pullover. Well, if you go back a few months, you'll I basically had to re-knit the yoke because I went up the needle sizes called for in the pattern and I shouldn't have. And so the yoke was too big and I didn't like it and I wasn't going to wear it. And when I made the decision to fix it, I literally just clipped it apart and pulled out the yoke and knit in the opposite direction. And that allowed me to take out the steek panel in the color work portion. So this is a heavily modified version. In the meantime, she has released a pullover version. I believe it's in a fingering weight. It is fingering weight. I think the pullover version is. The pattern's written for. This is still worsted weight. So if you go look, the cardigan that's in the worsted weight version is a cardigan, a steeked cardigan. So
it'd be easy enough to modify. That's a nice thing because it has a steek panel. All you have to do is just omit those stitches. And
Yep. So if you wanted to knit the pullover, you would just take out the steek panel stitches and then just knit it in the round. I had to do a little bit more fiddling because I was knitting it in the opposite direction. So I had to figure out the decreases for the yoke because the pattern calls for increases, but it's really was just sort of inverting the process. And so this fits so much better. I am going to get so much more wear out of it. So that's why it's always important to just, if you're not happy with it, as much as it pains me to rip stuff out, like I'd rather have something that I can wear. And so the yarn that I used is Fiber Stash. her worsted weight. The green is her colorway, Picky Husband. And this is a gray, like a really light gray, and it's the Great Scott colorway. So, yay. Yay, sweater weather. So excited. So excited.
I'm not wearing any hand knits today.
All right. I wore this because I knew we were going to podcast, and so I thought it would be fun.
You know what I found I'm really lacking in my hand knit wardrobe, and I have to amend that very soon. And I actually will be showing a project that will take care of some of this. Although it's going to be a big project that'll probably take me a while. Are either vests or short sleeve sweaters, because I find myself like always having, like, when I, especially this time of year, this kind of transition, I don't always, like if I'm washing dishes or if I'm doing something with the sheep, I don't want the cuffs of whatever I'm wearing, unless it's like, a long sleeve t-shirt, because I can wash that and scrub the heck out of it and get it really clean. But I don't want to abuse my sweaters where I have to really, scrub them if I get some sort of something on the sleeves that would either stain it or whatever. So and t-shirts are fairly inexpensive, so
Exactly.
I've got, I can replace those easier than I can replace sweaters, although I could replace just the sleeves, the cuffs of a sweater, if I had to.
Yep.
But I often find myself just wanting something that keeps my body warm but doesn't, like, so I've got to work on remedying that. And so one of the projects that I'm going to show that I got some yarn for is going to be a vest. So
nice. Yeah, vests. I've knit a couple of vests for other people, like zip up vests, but that would be a good one. I definitely like the short sleeve knit sweater as well, because you can layer that, or put a long sleeve t-shirt underneath it, kind of approach. So, well, I do have a finished object. Woohoo! They're what I refer to as my cheater socks. So by finished object, I mean I added heels, toes, and cuffs to a cranky sheep sock tube to have a pair of socks, which is fun and a good way to like use up some, particularly I think self-striping and pattern sock yarn, though some speckled yarn makes gorgeous sock tubes, just the way it knits up. But you wouldn't do too much, really wouldn't use this type of yarn for much other than a plain sock anyway, because of the patterning on the yarn. And so using the cranked tubes takes out, 75% of the knitting that you would have to do, and makes it really fast to like put together what feels like handmade socks.
Yeah, because with doing especially the heels and toes yourself, you can customize them,
customize the size
to fit well.
Exactly. So I got those done, and then I started working on the other thing that the sock tubes are really nice with is that you can use up every little bit of yarn, and you can adjust the length of the cuff to get the most pairs of socks out of one sock blank or sock tube, which is also nice. So, and helpful.
Sweet. And Anne's gonna have a whole bunch more and soon.
Excited. I know, I have to remember, I can't remember what yarn I gave you now, so it'll be like mini Christmas. When it comes back, I'll be like, oh yes.
Yeah, you had some fun ones.
Yes, there was lots of hemming and hawing over which batch of yarn I should send over.
And then she threw in a couple Christmas ones at the
end. Clearly, I have a sock yarn shortage at my house. It's very dire. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. So that's the only finished object I have.
I have no finished objects.
I'm pretty sure there's been a lot of knitting happening, though it doesn't feel like it, but I'm pretty sure there has been. So I think when I run through my works in progress, people are going to be like, oh, you have been knitting a lot, even though I don't, because I don't have anything done, right? To me, lots of knitting translates into you have finished things. um, so particularly when like you have basically, and the you is me, have reknit like an entire sweater because I ripped out the first round of it and went with a different style because it wasn't working for me.
Yeah.
So you want to hear all about that saga, the last episode. Would not stop talking about the sweater incident. So anyway, which will lead me into where I am with the sweater right now.
Excellent.
So since we podcast last, I have finished the top, the front, and the back.
And this is the Alicia Plummer one, right?
This is Into Stillness. Yep. Is that what it's called? Into Stillness.
Stillness, the drop.
In Stillness drop.
Yeah.
So this is the pullover version. Kelly has knit the cardigan version.
Yeah, I test knit that one for her.
Yep. So I did the front and the back, and I have it joined at the shoulders, and I'm currently working on the first sleeve. And I think I'm gonna do 3/4 sleeves for this. I tend to push my sleeves up a huge amount, and then like the arms get stretched out because I keep pushing them up. Though we'll see. I may also have. No, I think I have plenty of yarn. I think I'm fine on yarn.
I think.
So if I just remained dedicated to knitting on this project and was not getting distracted with little other bits and bobs like, oh, a Christmas ornament, which is like super fiddly, I may actually be able to get this done. But we'll see. I sense impending distraction is on us.
Yeah.
For lots of different things.
That's hard. It's hard this time of year because you think of little things you want to do as either gift knitting or
Yep. And that's what I'm gonna start switching over to. I need to get myself organized and sort out the list of the things that I want to do. Some of it will be socks. You guys are probably gonna see a lot of pairs of heels, toes, and cuffs on socks. So I will apologize in advance for that. But I have, some mittens that I want to do and probably a bunch of these ornaments as well for my own tree and just to do as gifts because they're fun and easy and quick. Once you get past the fiddly part, which is really like the first 5 or 6 rows, they're not too bad. The ornaments aren't too bad. It's just that first little bit that's challenging. And so this sweater is knit on like a DK weight yarn. I'm using Gail's Art. These are her, what she calls her full figured gal skeins, which is sort of the equivalent of a CC's Yarn Baby. So it's like 560 yards per skein. This is in the Morticia colorway. So, the nice thing about the big skeins is you have less ends to weave in when you're knitting something like a sweater.
And you typically don't have to alternate skeins.
I did not. I will just tell you right now, I did not. If there's any variation where I joined in the new skein was in the pattern, in the textured part. So there's gonna be some natural covering up of any
Yeah.
variation there anyway. So yeah, so I did not. I thought about it and then I remembered what it's like knitting with two skeins and I went, nope, not today.
Mhm. Yep.
Yep. So what have you been working on, Kel?
So I'll start with my oldest thing first. And that is Spencer. And I finally gotten Spencer to the point where I can start separating out at the sleeves.
Cool.
So I had to knit until it was 12 and a half inches from the bottom. And so I'm there now. And
Nice.
I wasn't at a when I got that part of it done, um, where I could have started, separating out the fronts. I wasn't like in the mindset where I could think about having to count the stitches and I had a bunch of stuff going on. So it just kind of sat, um, which is fine. And I will get back to it soon, but I have to have a few quiet moments where I can read through and make sure that I see where the pattern is going.
Yep.
So that's where I am with Spencer. And then the other thing I did, so that cowl, that big gray cowl that I did and I made for the beginning knitting class,
Yep.
um, I got that pattern all written up and released it on Ravelry as a free pattern because I
Nice.
know there was somebody who was asking about that. So it is on Ravelry as a free pattern and it's called Sutton, Sutton. And I'm doing another one because I'm working with somebody in a private lesson. So we're kind of working through the pattern because she wanted to learn how to knit.
Nice.
So I'm working through it again in a different color.
Cool.
So that's another thing that I'm doing. And then the other thing that I'm actually knitting on, Ange talks about, was that an outtake? I think it'll be an outtakes where we were talking about our Wing and a Prayer farm yarn.
Yes.
So at the shop, we carry Tammy's yarn at the shop, and we've had her Hayden and Olivia in the shop for a while, and uh, I've had my eye on it, and it was sitting there, and nobody was buying it. And I'm like, I'm just gonna buy it because it's this really pretty kind of like light tan coffee color that we had. Is this color,
Mm-hmm.
which is really hard to see. Um, but we only had 6 skeins of it, so I was like, well, Tammy has a new batch of it, and I know it's darker than what we've had, so I ordered a couple skeins in her newer color, which is much darker
Oh
than
yeah.
the one that I had. So I think that's going to pair really fun together in a sweater.
Yes. Nice.
So I am doing, where did my phone go? There it is. I'm doing the Rindy Jane sweater, and it's an Ellen Mason pattern. And the nice thing about it, it's she gives you the pattern in 3 different gauges. So it's pretty easy to kind of pair up and find a gauge that'll work for you. And she also gives you instructions about how to do modifications to it so that if you don't actually meet the gauge, you can, you know, you can work with what you've got, which is really nice. So let me see if there's a picture in the pattern. So the pattern's really, really long, but you only have to print whatever section of it applies to you. There are some pictures. Let's see if I can get them to show up on my phone. But it's kind of a nice basic pullover. It's kind of got Henley styling at the top.
Okay.
And she gives you some different ideas for doing some color work.
Cool.
And but yeah, it's really cute. And I was able to get one of the gauges. So I'm knitting it on size 8 needles, which is moving along nicely, and I have a sleeve done. So it's a bottom up in the round, and most of those, they have you cast on the body and then set that aside and do the sleeves. I always do the sleeves first. It's just because then they're done. And then I get the body done. I'm like, yes, the sleeves are done.
I have a sweater almost complete at this point.
Exactly. So I've got one sleeve done. And then I'm going to start the other one and work that up. But so the Hayden and Olivia is, it's an alpaca wool blend. And it's really super, super, super soft. So it's going to be a very warm, cozy sweater.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I just have to figure out how I'm going to incorporate the darker skeins of yarn into the sweater. I think I'm going to do most of the body in the light color and then somewhere up around the yoke, which is a little trickier because then I have to play with where the decreases are happening, but it's fine. I'm not worried about it. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Cool. I have one other work in progress that I've been working on regularly. So I decided to go ahead and do the secret handshake MCAL as well. So Casapinka and Sharon from Security, Sharon from Security has been releasing through Casapinka a series of mystery knit-alongs.
Yeah.
Which is kind of taken
Don't be confused.
I know, a life of its own at this point. So I did the Sharon Show shawl, and I showed that last week because that was all finished. And then, although I was a couple weeks behind, I've been playing catch up. So I just finished through Clue 3 last night. So if you don't want any spoilers, look away. Though I think at this point it's been well populated out on social media. So
I've been seeing all the clues for the West knit along that's going on.
Yep. So this is what I've got. It's a cowl, and I went stash diving to find just some various yarn. I did maybe also order some yarn from Cece's Wool, one of her kits, which arrived. So I will probably knit another one because it's a super fun.
Yeah.
Or at the rate she's going, there'll be another pattern released, and I'll just have yarn ready to go. So the mystery knit along is knit in cool clues. So I can't remember if this one's a 6-parter or a 5-parter for the cowl portion, but we're through clue 3. So if that's, it's knitting up kind of like the shawl did, where it's a sampler of a lot of different like techniques and color work and different fun stitches. And it's just a good way to try new things and play with color.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no wrong choices here. Though Sharon from Security might tell you there's wrong choices and give you a citation, but but that's on Sharon.
Yeah.
And Sharon is a cat, so
Mm-hmm.
Super funny. Apparently Sharon's buying a RV, so And if you're totally confused about what I'm talking about, I would recommend taking a look at Casapinka's Instagram feed, or joining the Facebook group for the Sharon Show, which is now just been taken over by Secret Handshake Cal. So lots of funny stuff happening over there.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So yeah. So that's mostly what I've been working on.
So I haven't been working. Well, that's not true. I can show you one other thing I've been working on. So I have some sheep fleeces that I've been working on processing, and I have a drum carder on order, but my friend Carol very kindly lent me hers until mine can make an appearance.
Nice.
So I've been processing some fiber, And I started with Tilly's because she was actually the first one. I actually cheered her myself back in, I don't know, August, September, sometime a while back. So I have drum carded some of her fiber, and then I dizzed it off into roping. So I have now some nice fluffy little clouds to spin.
Nice.
So I put it through the drum carder 3 times, and so it's really nice and smooth and soft, and I can't wait to start spinning with it. So that's one other thing that I've been working with. It's not knitting per se, but it will eventually turn into some knitting.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's been fun. And the only other thing that I've been doing is doing some knitting planning. So I talked about a vest that I was gonna hopefully be working on at some point. And let me pull that up so that you can see. It is available on Ravelry, and it's called the Vementry vest, and it's a Mary Jane Mucklestone pattern, and
Nice.
it is Fair Isle. So it's a little bit hard to see on there, but I'll put it in show notes so you can look it up yourself and see it. And so I just had to order some yarn for it, of course. So I got Jamieson's a Shetland, and it calls for a DK weight. So not all of these colors are for the sweater. So these top 2 rows are actually for some hats that I'm going to make, and I'll show you. I'll talk about that in just a minute. But it's kind of like these bottom colors here, and they're in plastic, so they're hard to see. But I didn't want to pull all the colors out. But it's mostly browns, grays, kind of bluey teal color. There's kind of a rusty reddish orange and a yellow.
Nice.
So those are going to be all the colors. And it was really hard finding. There aren't a lot of stores in the States that carry the double knitting, the DK Jamieson's. A lot of stores carry the Spindrift, which the ones on the top, these guys, are the Spindrift, which is a lighter weight yarn. So it was challenging. I actually ordered it from a store out on the West Coast. It got here quite quickly though, and I was surprised. With everything, all the fires and everything that are going on, I was expecting it to take a while, but it arrived quite quickly. So
nice.
So I did that, and then I treated myself to their color cards.
Nice.
I know. I just love playing with color and looking at color. So these are all of their colors for the Spindrift and the double knitting yarns that they stock. So that's exciting.
Awesome.
To play with. So part of the reason that I got the Spindrift colors are somewhat for knitting the Shetland Wool Week hat, Katie's cap. But then while I was watching some of the Shetland Wool Week videos that were out there, there's one of them, they also talked about the Fair Isle Fisherman's Kit pattern. And there's actually a Facebook group that's dedicated just to that one pattern. And you can join the Facebook group, and then they tell you how to order the pattern. And all of the proceeds of the pattern sales go to the museum on Shetland
cool.
to help preserve some of the Shetland history, knitting history. I mean, so much of it is intertwined with, regular history and knitting history that, it kind of is everything. But that's the traditional fisherman's kit pattern.
Cool.
And so you make a it's basically you make a donation to the museum, and then they send you the pattern.
Nice.
And it's more of kind of like a recipe. They give you the initial like cast on stitches, and this is, traditionally how it's made, and how you do the brim and everything like that. And then they give you some different charts that you can incorporate into it, and like the stitch counts and things like that, and how to get those stitch counts. But there, you can also just go with, there's so many Fair Isle pattern books out there that
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of the stitch motifs in them, and I've got quite a few of them. So you can really play with it and have fun with the colors that you use and the designs that you use. And the Facebook group is really cool because you can see so many different ones, and you can actually you can see the ones people have posted on Ravelry too, if you want to go to Ravelry and do that. So yeah, it's really fun. So I've been thinking about the colors that I want to use and the motifs that I want to incorporate too. So that's been really
Nice.
fun too. Yeah.
Super fun.
Yeah. Now I
Something.
just have to find time to do it all.
Well, that is always the challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. Truth.
But
Truth.
if anybody wants to go back and watch the Shetland Wool Week videos, they are available. Most of them are up on their YouTube channel. So the Promote Shetland page, or I don't know. There's one. If you search for Shetland Wool Week, you'll find the channel that they put them on. So
Nice.
yeah.
Excellent. Super fun.
Yeah.
Super fun. So last week we were alluding to perhaps a new knit along, although we have failed to close out or keep track of our existing knit alongs.
Mm-hmm.
It's the never ending alongs. I mean, I think all of the ones that are open right now will just probably close out at the end of the year and start fresh in 2021. And, you know, give out a big bunch of prizes. Maybe that'll be like our New Year's Eve episode with just us giving out prizes for all of the random knit alongs that have closed or that are still open.
And you get a prize, and you get a prize.
Everybody gets a prize. I mean, I still have prizes I need to do for the retro along. So, you know, we are so behind. That's my new plan. And so any existing knit alongs that are still open, I'm going to keep them open through the end of the year. And we'll do a big prize giveaway for like New Year's Eve. So I just roped Kelly into something that we hadn't even talked about, but I'm sure it's fine. So, or New Year's Day, or whenever we can manage to, you know, pull that off in that time frame is what I'm thinking. So we're going to start a new knit along that will also follow. So we'll close it out at the end of the year as well. Now that I'm talking about the other stuff. So the other knit alongs, and you can go check out our Ravelry page for which ones are open. I don't even think I can remember. I know we've got a scrap along. And there might be a summer t-shirt along.
That one morphed so many times.
And there's also the Green Mountain Spinnery Must Love Yarn Knit Love Wool along.
The Jen Steinglass one, yeah.
Jen Steinglass along. So we'll close all of those at the end of the year. And any other random ones that I've forgotten to close, we'll close and do prizes. We'll do a prize sweep. But the newest, actually we have two. One we've done before. Let's start with the one we've done before. Warmth with Yarn cowl. We are collecting donations for that. I'll start a new Ravelry page. So what the Warmth with Yarn cowl is, if you haven't been watching us for a while, is every fall this time of year we collect donations for hats, scarves, cowls, mittens, socks, basically anything that people can use to keep warm. We encourage folks that if you are not local to us and you have a local outfit that provides those types of services to folks that need them for the cold weather, to please donate to your local organization, and that's why we run the Ravelry thread. So if you have made stuff to donate and you donate it in your local area, please just post us a picture of what you've donated and we will count those for a drawing. And if you do not have an organization local to us, or you are here local in Vermont, we collect donations at the store so they can be shipped to us or dropped off to us. And again, we keep track of that and draw prizes. And then we donate them to a few local organizations here who provide hats and sweaters. I mean, I suppose you could donate a sweater if you wanted. Hats and mittens and cowls and scarves and socks to the local community that needs them. So we'll run that again. We'll run it through the end of the year. So please feel free to donate. I mean, definitely we like to do a big drop off right before Thanksgiving, and we like to do another one right before Christmas, or the holiday season in December. But we will accept donations at any point for this knit along. So
Yep.
that's up and
We've already
running.
had some people mail some stuff in.
Yeah,
Too,
see, folks
so
know. So they didn't even need to press to announce that we were doing it because I think this is the third year we've done it.
yeah.
So thank you to everybody who has donated in the past. We are overwhelmed every year with everyone's generosity.
Yeah, it's
So
amazing.
yeah, it's awesome. So which leads us to the other knit along that we're kicking off here. And I say it officially starts next week, but you know me. Whatever. If you already got something in progress that fits the parameters, like it counts. If you want to start early, it counts. Like we're pretty laid back about rules here as long as it mostly fits. So we're going to do a descent along. So part of the reason why I'm wearing my descent sweater today is a little walking advertisement for the along. And I'm not even calling it a knit along because I've found some crochet patterns as well. So if you are a crocheter, you can also join. I've put
It's a
a bundle.
cow.
That's a cow. I put a bundle together on the Ravelry group for Muscle of Yarn with a collection of various patterns. So I think we're up to, there's a sweater, there's a cardigan, there's a couple different hats, there's a couple different cowls, there's sock patterns, there is the Christmas ornament, there is just straight up lace collar work that I presume is crochet. I actually didn't look at the pattern that closely, so I'm not really sure. I just added it to the bundle. If there's ones that I've missed, let me know. Like there wasn't any particular reason why the ones I picked are in there. Just those are the ones I knew about. In fact, somebody was messaging me on Instagram yesterday about the new sock pattern that came out. So that's why that one's in the bundle. So go take a look. We're just really paying tribute to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, having some fun while we're doing it and creating some beautiful hand knits. So join us. If it doesn't interest you, we've got other knit alongs going on and we'll always have new ones starting. So that one will run through the end of the year like everything else. And we hope something catches your eye and you feel like join us along. We'll see how many ornaments I can make. That is I have a 25 pack from Michael's of the blank ornaments. I don't anticipate I'm going to make 25 of these, but we'll see how many I get done. I bet the starting fiddly bits get less fiddly the more of them you do. Maybe I should run a separate contest on an over under for how many I'll actually get done.
Well,
We shall see.
Mm-hmm.
We shall see. So that's the new along. We
Excellent.
hope that you can join us.
Yeah.
For that. And the virtual New York Sheep and Wool Festival is this weekend. Virtual Indie Untangled is Friday as
right.
well. Tickets, there's sort of a nominal ticket fee for both of those events that will give you access to different vendors and talks and things. Probably still possible to sign up for some of the classes at New York Sheep and Wool. Any of them are required materials. All those deadlines have passed. I mean, that require materials to be shipped to you.
Right.
Some of the classes are bring your own materials, and those, as long as they haven't reached their class limit, are still, you can still purchase a seat at them. I am doing a continental knitting class and also a Tunisian crocheting class. So stay tuned for the next episode to find out how those went. But
Angela's gonna have new skills.
new skills. Well, the Tunisian crocheting, Kelly's shown stuff and she's talked about doing classes. Maybe you did do a class and I just couldn't show up in person for it because that's totally anyway, my life. But the Tunisian crocheting, you can do a lot of similar stitches to knitting, and it's so it's intriguing to me, and it looks cool. So I figured, why not?
Yeah, it's fun. I like doing it.
But I need to go to the store to buy a Tunisian crochet hook because I don't have one. It's a hardship to come to the yarn store.
Darn.
Well, I need to put my list together because I have some supplies I need to get for some other projects, and I need to figure out what it is that I need. And so I'm running out of time because I need to get my Tunisian crochet hook before the weekend for the class. So I kind of need to get my act together just a little bit. I could also make more than one trip to the store. It's also allowed, but it's much easier to just try to do it all at once. So that's what I'm up against. Worst case, I'll just run in and get the Tunisian crochet hook that I need.
There you go.
But anyway, so that's what I got going on this weekend, among other things, scouts and some other stuff like that.
Cool. That'll be fun.
Yep. I don't know that I've got any much else. I think we've run through the oh my gosh, the big one. It's even on my list.
Oh, right. How could we forget?
It's on my list, and then I put my pattern over the top of my list, and I almost
We're actually
forgot.
allowed to talk about this one now.
Oh my gosh. So the next Seasons of Vermont box is releasing on Friday, October 16th at noon Eastern Standard Time. And
Eastern Daylight Time.
Eastern Daylight Time, because we haven't hit daylight savings. Eastern, EST, Eastern Time at noon. And this month's box is going to have awesome yarn from Michael Hampton and Hampton Fiber Mill. And we have, you have some choices and options this time. So he has given us 5 different colors, and we've got the picture up in here so you can see what the yarn looks like. It's a gorgeous sort of marled yarn. And so you will be able to choose, unless that particular color has sold out, because we have limited numbers of each color. We'll get to choose one of the colors to go in your set. And there are some other exciting goodies. So the pattern this time is a mitten pattern, which Jen has designed. So that is also very cool. We have a very, who did the bag?
That is a new person. She's from like way up in the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, and so they're a really pretty fall print, and they have the clear fronts to
Oh,
them, the
cool.
zipper bags that have the clear fronts. Yeah, those are really handy. Jen connected with her, I think, at like a craft fair type thing or something, and saw her bags and asked if it was something she'd be interested in. So she's a local maker.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. And we'll make sure pictures are in of all of these things.
Mm-hmm. And you can also be sure to check out well, by the time this goes live, you'll be able to see everything up on our website. But you can also see Jen releases pictures on Instagram for the Seasons of Vermont box, usually at the very beginning of the week before it's going to release. So
Yep.
yesterday she released the pictures of the yarn, and each
Yep.
day she'll reveal a new piece.
Yep. So it's possible we're talking about this stuff as if we're slightly confused. But you may have already seen all of this by the time
Right.
this episode goes live.
Right.
So there's a cool stitch marker. Again, we've got things from Luna Roma, things from Caitlin Birch, things from Elizabetta Studio, who does the items with the cork. So it's a pretty cool set of stuff. I have heard that the price is $90 for the box this time, plus shipping.
Okay.
Don't hold me to that. I believe that was the final price that I saw.
Okay.
If it's not that exactly, it's because I didn't read my email correctly. So
I missed that part in the email. So.
Don't get cranky with other people, because I was not paying attention. I believe $90. We are so organized today. Check it out. I think we actually still have a few of the last couple of boxes as well. The last box had fiber stash yarn in it, which was gorgeous, and a really cool project bag and other little goodies. And the box right before that actually had Wing and a Prayer Farm yarn in it, also super gorgeous. So we have a few of each of those left as well. So take a look. If you're checking out this one, see what else we have in stock for these boxes. So, all right, that is all. Well, except I'm going to give a little teaser, because I like to give people teasers because I think it builds anticipation.
Okay.
Is there may be some discussions about some virtual and non-virtual things happening over the Thanksgiving weekend at the store. It will be our 5th anniversary of store openness. And that time frame is rapidly approaching, because I just looked at the calendar and realized it's like the middle of October already.
I know.
So keep an eye out. I believe a lot of the activities may be in the virtual platform, because that just seems the most prudent way to approach stuff this year. And it allows all of you some access. So, as much as we love doing stuff in the store, if you don't live local to us, it's hard to participate. When we do stuff virtually, all of you can participate, which is fun, I think, for everybody. So I'm still working out some details of what that's going to look like and what we're going to do. But stay tuned for that. So just throwing that out there in the universe, for people to keep an eye out for coming events.
Excellent.
Over the Thanksgiving long weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the virtual platform makes it a little easier to do something on each of those days. So stay tuned. Now that I have put it out in podcast land, I have to do something. I am now committed to something. I don't know what yet, but something.
It just may be Angela sitting in front of a Zoom screen.
It might be. It might be. Won't that be fun?
You can let your kids entertain everybody.
I could. I could. It would be very entertaining for some and not so much for others. Yes. So speaking of my children, so this might also slide into, this is going to sound a lot like outtakes, but we're winding down the end of the podcast. So we're basically at the outtakes anyway. Yesterday, I was outside with my kids, and I have two children that like to climb trees, which is great and fun. And William was climbing a tree, and I was watching him, and I was kind of filming. I film stuff off and on just to like share with family and just to have, because it's funny. So I caught on film William climbing up this tree, and Abigail's kind of like off to the side, and so she's kind of like singing and talking to herself, and the clip is her starting to go on and on about how much she loves the hokey pokey. And so she starts singing the hokey pokey, but of course it's a version of put your butt in, put your butt out. So that is happening. Like, this is kind of like the 3-ring circus of my house. So that's going on. And then you see William like, okay, Mom, I'm ready to go. And he grabs onto this branch to go swing out. But the branch he chose is too small to carry his weight. So as he clears and lets go with his feet, the branch breaks and he just goes tumbling down, and the tree that he's on is on kind of the side of a hill. So he was fine. I probably should have started the story with, he was fine.
I assumed from, the way
Yeah.
you were talking about it, he was going to come out of this fine.
Yeah, he was fine. Luckily it had been raining, the ground was very soft. It's covered in leaves. He was fine. So he took kind of a tumble down. So if at times I seem a little frazzled or distracted, like, this is what happens at my house when I'm at home. I got one kid doing the hokey pokey and another one's breaking branches and falling out of trees. So it's, super fun. A month ago, the other one was in a tree and like slipped and fell out of a tree. So, it's all good. It's how they learn their limits. And
well, I was going to say, now he knows how he should really check out branches before he swings from them.
Well, what's interesting is I could have told him that branch was going to break. But we're at the age right now where we don't believe things that the grown-ups, particularly mom and dad, share with him. And so with some of the stuff, he has to just figure it out on his own. Yeah. So luckily he didn't get hurt.
Yep.
But even if he had, like, sometimes that stuff just happens, and that's how you learn limits and what to do and what not to do. So anyway, so that was, and now we have a super funny video to share. He got a giant kick out of watching the video later.
Did he?
Because it is funny. I'm not going to share it on social media because it's his video and his thing, but it is funny. Particularly, nobody gets hurt. It is funny to watch somebody fall out of a tree. Like, it's just no two ways around it. So,
yep.
But anyway, totally an outtake at the end. So stay tuned for maybe not as funny outtakes than the actual outtakes. So, but thank you for stopping by to hang out with us for a little bit. We know many of you use this as like your knitting group time, your virtual knitting group. And we appreciate all the nice comments that folks leave and the interactions that we have with all of you on social media and in the store. So thank you. Thank you for being a delightful group of folks and for sticking with us through all of this. I think we're up to like 176 episodes at this point. So Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So happy knitting, happy crocheting, happy crafting. We hope wherever you are safe and well. And at some point, Kelly and I will be able to podcast together again. But until then, the Zoom seems to be working.
Mm-hmm.
So happy fiber crafting, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And we will see you soon.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye. So we are recording. And
I
so
think my
so remember when I started knitting the yoga clock thing?
yes.
And then
I
I
do
was complaining about how fiddly it was to get started because you're starting with like in the round in the center in little teeny tiny stitches and then you work out.
Yep.
And I put it aside because I was like, oh, this, and I'm pretty sure that I don't have enough yarn of at least one of the colors.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, so there was also that. So I'm like, I should probably restart this. So I not dust it off. I am going to make some RBG Christmas ornaments. And I've made this kind before where you knit the ball, you knit around the ball. So
Mm-hmm.
you knit like you knit the half circle, and then when it gets like halfway, you actually put the Christmas ball in, and then you knit the rest of it. Otherwise, you'd never be able to get the Christmas ball in there.
Yeah.
So I started one of those this morning. I've knit these before. Also super fiddly, right? Because you're starting with like 8 stitches in the round, like
Yeah.
on really teeny tiny needles. And I'm like, why was I complaining about the yoga clock? Like this is the same thing. Except that one happens to have color work, but it's not really that much different. And I've done them
Mm-hmm.
before, and it's anyway. So I was like,
That's funny.
but yeah, the yoga clock, I need to rip it out and just pick colors that I know I have enough of. So I don't get partway through, like halfway down and be like, oh, what am I going to do now? Which is totally what's going to happen. So, eh. So I got this much done.
Wow.
Of the ornament.
That's something.
I am I would like to point out that this was accomplished while sitting in a chair, and I was kind of sitting on the edge of like a club chair that we have with like a 4-year-old like doing gymnastics behind me on the chair and on me. So I'm pretty sure that if that wasn't happening, I might have not been as cranky about why this seemed so hard. Just trying to figure out where my end is, because this is totally one that I'd start knitting with the wrong. Okay, that's the so there.
Excellent.
Yes, baby steps, one stitch at a time. Probably not gonna work on this one while we're podcasting because it's small black yarn. Though the light in here is very good, but I probably should pick up some metal US ones
Mm-hmm.
because the chances of me snapping one of these on a project like this are pretty high.
Yeah. Well, we just got to restock a needle, so you should
Oh,
be good.
good. I'm pretty sure I need some US 4 tips too. I don't know what happened to all of mine. I'm sure they're hiding somewhere, and as soon as I buy more tips, like 7 pairs will show up, which is
Yep.
what happened with my 6s and 7s.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
End up with a lot of needles.
Yep. And then feel slightly embarrassed, and then be like, whatever. I can now knit all the projects
All of them.
at the same time and finish none of them.
Right. That's the way it goes.
Yes. Well, I, for one, am glad that the weather has shifted a little bit here, so I can bust out some of my sweaters. And
Yeah,
the
I've done
lake,
one. Yeah.
And yesterday I had my All Points South cowl on, which was
Nice.
lovely, big and comfy and like drapey.
Nice. Yeah, I know it is nice. It's rainy today, but sometimes you need those rainy days. We're still very behind where we need to be for rainfall, so
Yes.
I don't mind. And tomorrow's it's supposed to be like back near 70 tomorrow. It's so weird.
It is super weird. Super, super weird.
I know, because yesterday morning it was like 29 degrees here.
I was out at a soccer game on Sunday, and it was like in the upper 40s maybe, and the wind was blowing because it was on an open soccer field, and literally everybody was out there in like their parkas, and the kids are running around with like shorts and t-shirts on, and the parents are on the sidelines like totally bundled up like, oh my god, this is terrible.
That's funny. At least it was sunny. I was outside finishing up like one of my last fencing projects that I had to do, and I was really comfortable because I was moving around a lot, so it was fine for me. But yeah, it could have been if you were just sitting. Oof, that it would have been.
Yeah,
chilly.
I mean the first half I was sitting in my little like camp rocking chair, and then at halftime I was like, I have to stand up, like my legs are frozen, and
yeah,
ended up standing like the rest of the game so I could kind of like move around a little bit and just
yeah.
I mean, the sun was out, and so like if you were standing, you could at least get the sun like on your back.
Yeah.
But super cold. And then I was like cold the rest of the day.
Yeah, it's hard once you get cold to warm back up.
Yeah. Yep. Even with like hot tea and like sitting with a blanket and like
I know.
Sexton.
Yay.
I have a finished object.
Excellent. We moved the chicken coops on Sunday to where we're gonna have them winter over. So
nice.
Yeah, we're actually we're putting in another really big garden next year. So we kind of marked off where we want the garden to be, and we're gonna have the chickens basically till it up this winter.
Cool.
And mix in some compost and stuff. So we're gonna put them to work and give them a nice spot for the winter too. So
perfect. I'm currently playing yarn chicken with my bind off.
Yes, you are.
Mm-hmm. So we'll do this on the podcast because what's funnier than watching me play yarn chicken?
Yeah, well, you know.
Not much.
That's funny.
Holy smokes.
I was start knitting much faster when I'm playing yarn chicken. I don't know why. It's one of those things where you think like
if you knit faster, you'll get through it faster and you won't run out of yarn. Yep.
Right. I know, but that's not how it works, unfortunately.
I know, right?
But still doesn't change me doing it every single time though.
Oh no, of course not. Of course not. So Yippers. So I feel like for it being like 2 weeks since we podcasted that I should have a lot more knitting content. And I don't really know what I've been doing.
Oh, I have one thing I have to go grab. Hang on.
Okay. I will sit here and continue to play bind off chicken.
Okay, you play.
Okay. So we'll see. We will see if I make it. Though, of course, if I finish with this, I'm not sure what I'm going to knit on the podcast because I have a whole bunch of things that are not actually in a place where they make for good podcast knitting. I might be able to work on that sleeve. And that was fast. I only had to talk to myself for a little bit.
It's really funny. So my little dog, Winnie, she gets chilly when she gets wet and it's rainy out. She gets chilly. So she's all curled up in one of her beds, and I covered her up with a blanket because like she gets like really chilly. It's So I took a picture of her a little while ago, and she was cute and cozy and whatever. And I just walked by to go grab that other knitting thing, and her head was completely covered up. It was so funny. So this was her, and now she's completely underneath that blanket. You can't even see her. It's so cute. She's such a little snuggle bug. It's really funny. All right, now I've got all my things.
Excellent.
I've been doing a lot of fibery things lately.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of them really, show that all the progress I've been doing, but it's okay.
So Kelly and I both attended a talk with Tammy at Wing on a Prayer Farm for Vermont Sheep and Wool.
I did.
Which was really cool. Abigail attended as well.
She did.
So when I said like she was doing gymnastics behind me on the chair, like what you were seeing in that before I turned my camera off for that talk was like kind of what I was talking about.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Yep, except it was happening behind me today instead of on my lap. But it was the same kind of stuff.
Same thing.
Yeah. So Tammy did a very interesting talk on using
natural dyes stuff.
Natural dyes and additive. What's the technical term, Kelly?
The modifiers.
Modifiers. Yeah. To the various like solutions. And so it was interesting. It's always fascinating to listen to Tammy talk. And because she just has so much knowledge about all of this. So it was super cool. And then I might have bought some yarn from her.
I did too.
As well.
I got some soap too.
I belong to her soap CSA, so but her soap is amazing. And so I'm waiting for the yarn because she funnily enough, as we say at my house, Jen was there in person.
Oh, that's right.
For the farm tour thing. And one of the colors, so I bought like 4 different skeins of all the single ladies that had been dyed. And Jen must have bought a sweaters quantity of one of them because she bought all of them, including the one that I had bought online.
Oh.
So Tammy messaged me in like a panic and she was like, oh my God, Jen bought all of the yarn. She's like, I'm gonna do another batch. Like I can, she's like, I can refund. And I was like, whoa. I'm like, if you're dyeing another batch, like it's totally cool. Just ship it all together. Like it's not like I'm in a hurry or that I'm gonna run out of yarn anytime soon.
Yeah.
So
Aww.
Yeah.
It's so sweet. She has some great colors.
Oh my God.
This fall.
So beautiful.
Some really good colors. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very vibrant looking. Yeah. I'm so excited. I'm thinking colorwork sweater of some sort. I'll have to pick up a different yarn for like a main color. Though maybe I'll wander back in, and if it's in a second purchase, maybe I can feel like, of course you can buy more yarn. Of hers, like, maybe all the single ladies in like a natural color or something. So I'm pretty excited. I'll show those when they arrive.
Yeah. I should go grab the ones that I got. Well, I started knitting with one, but it was some we had at the store of hers, and we had had it at the store for quite some time, and I had my eye on it, and I finally was like, it hasn't sold.
I'm just gonna buy it. Yeah. Yep. So I tried to do, a little bit of shopping with some of the vendors over the weekend that normally would have been at Vermont Sheep and Wool. Tammy's was the only talk that I managed to get on to listen to. That was kind of a busy weekend for us that weekend.
Yeah, I popped in on a couple different ones in between doing some paperwork at the
Yep.
shop, but so I heard bits and pieces of some of them. But
Yeah.
they did a nice job. They did it mostly through Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it
Yep.
they couldn't do it in person, so you know, it was kind of the next
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
So,
And we'll see the same thing with the New York Sheep and Wool this
yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
Have you seen Cece's new Yarn Baby fall colorway?
The
The
bright orange
red.
one. Oh, is
Yeah,
it
red and
red?
orange
Yeah.
with green.
Yep, I did. I
Gorgeous.
know.
Because clearly I need more yarn.
Well, yeah, I know. All right, I'm gonna go grab that screen. Did you do it?
I did it.
That's how much you have left?
That's how much I have left. That wasn't even really that much of a yarn chicken.
That's excellent.
Yeah. Working on the second set of socks with the sock tube. Yep, yep, yep.
Okay, I think I've got everything
Okay.
now.
So I decided to do the cuff and the toes out of this actual yarn. Because I think
And just do the heel different.
I have enough out of this little ball to do 2 heels.
Yeah.
And this matches really well. It's the one that I used on these.
Mm-hmm.
So these will definitely be shorter socks.
Yeah.
For somebody. So, all right. So that's gonna have to get put aside because I don't really want to be picking up stitches and pulling apart knits on the podcast. I was kind of like, I don't really know what I'm gonna work on. Problems. Knitting problems.
Knitting problems.
Knitting problems. I'll bust this one out, I guess. Or I guess I will bust this one out. All right. Well, should we? Oh, I'm losing needles everywhere here. Oh, sorry. God. Okay. Well, shall we get the show on the road?
Sure.
Okay. Huh. So I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here. Apparently I can't count, which should surprise no one. Oh, wait. Oh no, there we go. Don't mind me while I literally just talk to myself. Okay. Are you ready? Okay.